Hello everyone, this is video number 3 in the Human Psyche video series, and today I'm going to be speaking a little bit more about abuse, and in particular about verbal abuse, because unfortunately this seems to be very prevalent in today's society and it's almost normalized and accepted. And what people don't really realize is that every word that is spoken, particularly words that are spoken in malice and in vindictiveness and with a consciousness behind them that is negative, has an impact on the human psyche. It also comes with a certain amount of ferocity and velocity, depending on how it is spoken and how it is directed and where it is directed from. So the form of attack, it's a form of attack, it's a weaponry, and we're not always fully aware of the impact that those words can have on a person and the long-term impact. So I'm just wanting to bring this to the awareness of those who are going to listen to this video, that every negative word that is spoken, particularly that is directed at somebody in a malicious and vicious way, has an enormous amount of power to hurt and to harm. So our words have power to help and to heal, but they also have the power to hurt and harm. So in my last video, I spoke about an incident that I witnessed where a mother had her daughter walking in front of her. I was coming towards them, and she told her daughter that she hated her, and she called her a bitch, and she said that if she didn't shut up, she would slap her face. So the reason why I'm just going to reiterate on that is just to give you an example of how that can actually have a long-term impact on the psyche of that child. So first of all, it was spoken with a huge amount of aggression. It was directed at her back, but it would have penetrated and impacted on her spirit in the heart. So it would have had a crushing effect on her spirit. I noticed when I looked at her face that there was pain. So it had hit its mark, and there's nothing worse than for a child to be told by its mother that she is hated or that he is hated. It is perhaps the worst form of cruelty and sadism and pain that we can inflict on another human being. Together with that, she was called a very derogatory name, a derogatory word. So this would have eroded into her self-esteem. It would have degraded her, belittled her, and made her feel like she had no value. And of course, after that, there was threat. The threat of being punished, the threat of feeling physical abuse. Now, I know that in today's society, a lot of words are used without the full understanding of the impact of them, and a lot of derogatory words are used almost as if they were descriptive, like an adjective. But what needs to be understood is that those words have got a frequency attached to them. And because we are energetic beings and we are then have these frequencies directed at us. So every single word, whether it comes from a space of envy, jealousy, hatred, animosity, venom, malice, just generally a space of negativity, selfishness. A lot of these things are not about the person to whom they are hurled, the person that is under attack. It's about the person doing the attack. So also remember, children are actually an extension of who we are. So your child is an extension of you. If you tell your child you hate her or hate him, you're actually directing that at yourself, because that child is an extension of who you are. So that is a reflection of how you feel about yourself. But sadly, that child then grows up to believe they have no value, they have no worth, and they then enter their adulthood without an understanding of how valuable they are, how significant they are in the world, because they've been made to feel like they are rubbish, like they actually are without value. And so they very often choose partners that treat them the same way, and then they end up treating themselves as if they have no value and worth. They treat themselves and have an internal dialogue that is cruel and sadistic and hateful. And it's only because that's how they were treated as a child. Those were the words that they heard hurled at them on a regular basis. So if you think about having, let's say, a mosquito biting you on your leg in a very sort of a clump of mosquito bites, let's say 5 of them. It's pretty irritating and, you know, hard to put up with. But let's say there were 50. That would be a lot worse, a lot more difficult to tolerate. And then let's take it as there's 500. So it's the same with when we are subjected to regular forms of abuse, verbal abuse I'm looking at in particular here. And this could happen 5 to 10 times a day. So let's say out of 365 days, it's now happening 3,650 times. That is impacting on the nervous system of that person's body. And let's say that's only from one person. What about from the siblings and the parents? Let's say, you know, the one parent is very abusive, but what about the other parent? Very often they could be abusive in a different way. They could be critical, judgmental, eroding into the self-esteem of that child in a different way, but doing harm all the same, psychological harm, emotional harm, mental harm. So it's really important that everybody gets to understand that words have a frequency, they have a velocity, they can be spoken with ferocity, and believe me, they can harm, they can hurt. So like a physical abuse where you may have a black eye, or you may have a broken tooth, or you may have a bruised arm, that's visible. But verbal abuse also affects the being. It affects the spirit. It can break the spirit. It can flatten the spirit. It can bruise the spirit. Those are things we can't see. But these are things that have a long-term negative impact on the growth and development and confidence and self-esteem of the person that is being subjected to this ongoing abuse. So I just wanted to be really clear that verbal abuse is just that. It's abuse, and it needs to stop. Children need to be treated with love and respect and kindness. They need to be treated as if they are valuable, they are significant, they are important. And then you're going to get a society that is going to respect each other. First of all, respect themselves, then respect others, respect the community, respect the earth. So let's start in each home. Let's bring peace and unity and love and care and kindness into each home environment, so children can feel safe in their home environment, loved in their home environment, and they will then be able to thrive. So I hope you've enjoyed this video. Please share it, pass it on. I think this is a message that society in general needs to hear, because I wasn't aware of the frequencies of words, but it's only as I've worked with people for the last 12 years that I've come to the consciousness of the fact that particularly negative, derogatory, degrading words have a huge impact, a long-term negative impact on the psyche of people. And we want to avoid self-harm. We want to avoid people that end up thinking that their life has no value, and that is what makes them take their lives, as if it has no value. So we want to avoid this in our society. We want to bring about a new way of being. So please share this. I think it's an important message that needs to be heard by everybody. And if you're wanting to get some help because you feel like you may have some long-term psychological damage that might have been done to you through verbal abuse, it's important that we work with those wounds that were created so that they can be dealt with and healed, so that they no longer have the ability to be triggered in your present. Because a lot of these belong to decades ago, long forgotten days, but the echo and the reverberation of those words can still be reverberating in your being and affecting your nervous system, creating anxiety and depression. So please pass this on, please share this, and please contact me if you feel like I could be of any help to you. Thank you. Enjoy your day. Bye so long.